Hello, my name is Matthias Cavotti. I'd like to welcome guys to my channel. Today we're going to talk about the New Mutants series, and we're going to cover issues 6 through 11. These are written by Zeb Wells. They came out in 2009. We have two crossovers at the price of one. First, we have 3 tie-in issues to the Necrosha X crossover, where we have the X-Men and X-Force battling against the Black Queen, who used a techno-organic virus to bring back basically every single mutant and to make things miserable for the X-Men. And after that, we have the Siege of Asgard, and that particular tie-in is actually really good. At least I really enjoyed it, and it leads to some pretty interesting things further down the line. So without further ado, let's get into the first 3 issues, which are part of Necrosha. And because in all these videos I tell you guys what I liked, what I didn't like, and the stories that I'm sharing with you. In this particular case, we have 3 issues that there's a lot of action and very little plot or story. There's very little development. There's a couple of important things do take place, but I feel like they could have done everything in just one issue instead of dragging it out for 3. And but that aside, I did enjoy these ties into Necrosha. Because first and foremost, we have the return of Doug Ramsey. He was brought back by the Black Queen, and his power set, he has the ability to understand other languages and stuff like that. And Zeb Wells does a really interesting job with his power set because, for example, when he makes contact with the New Mutants and engages with them, obviously he's working with the Black Queen. He wants to take them down. He immediately attacks his old teammates, and he's become a totally kick-ass fighter. He beats the brakes off of all of his old teammates, and he explains that fighting is a form of language, therefore he can dominate and control it. So that's just a really interesting angle of how Zeb chooses to show off Doug Ramsey's powers. And he's really brutal. Like first he takes down Magma, beats her with a pipe, almost kills her. It's like really brutal. So the New Mutants find their old friend. He's back from the dead. They don't understand what the hell's going on. He's beating the brakes off him. And what happens is, when things are starting to go from bad to worse, Warlock from the Technarchy, old school New Mutant, he's back. He popped up again in the Nova series, and he became like a big character in the whole space crossover, where all the cosmic heroes had to battle against Ultron and the Flanks. So he was brought back in that story. He decided to go back to Earth. He finds himself with this situation. Doug and Warlock are best of friends. So Warlock realizes he's infected with the techno-organic virus. When he tries to absorb it and cure him, this TK virus actually has some magic in it. So it does something terrible to Warlock. Doug reawakens. He was knocked out. He brutally rips off his old friend's head, throws it into the ocean. And the rest of the New Mutants are like, what the fuck just went down? Because Warlock is insanely powerful. In the next issue, the Hellions, old school arch nemesis of the New Mutants, they're back also trying to take down their old foes. So we get a lot of action. And here we get the New Mutants sort of starting to understand that they're dealing with all these people that are coming back from the dead. They're all infected with the techno-organic virus. They try to make because they can't even kill them. Like, they accidentally think they killed Jetstream, and they discover he's not dead. And they discover that all of Utopia is under siege by all these old dead mutants. They're back. So they're sort of on the run, trying to see what the hell they're going to do with the situation. And Doug Ramsey is sort of fighting against the programming. Sort of the fact, even though he killed Warlock, haven't been in contact with him, sort of messed with his the programming of the TK virus, so he's fighting against it, trying to regain his freedom. While Warlock, obviously, he's not dead. He's in the bottom of the ocean, absorbing the life glow of algae and phytoplankton and stuff like that to come back to life. So at the end of this, we also have the return of Furo, even for just a couple of pages. It's cool to see a classic New Mutant back. And no, member of X-Force. So what happens at the end of these tie-ins, because this doesn't really have any impact on the overarching story of the Necrosha, but we get the return of Warlock and Doug on the New Mutants. And what they do to cure Doug is they use Warlock's powers and Magic Soul Sword. They use it to take the infection, the TK infection, out of Douglock. He's brought back to life, while all of the other characters at the end of the crossover Necrosha, most of the others just go back to being dead. So in issue number 9, we get the setup for this really good story that takes place in Limbo, where we have a group of soldiers that have gone to Limbo. We don't know what they're up to, but obviously they're up to no good. That particular story arc that we're going to cover here, it's pretty awesome. Also, we have the X-Men are studying Warlock and Douglock to see what the hell's going on with them. There's a pretty funny exchange between Warlock and Danger that I thought it was pretty hilarious. There's a great dialogue between Doug and Magma, because Doug almost killed Magma, and like there's a lot of bad blood with the New Mutants. Like, what the hell? Because Doug was really brutal with them. Like he sort of scared the hell out of his old teammates. So he's trying to make peace with all of his old teammates. And we also get this explanation of how the hell Magic is back from the dead. So she basically tells everyone what happened, because originally Magic had died of the legacy virus. So she sort of explains that situation, how she's alive, where she's been all this time. And so that's pretty cool. That's where all this mystery gets resolved. And also, Magic is going to be super ominous, saying that basically the apocalypse is going to come billowing out of Limbo and everyone's at danger. In issue number 10, this is just basically a pretty good one-off issue where we have the mutants or mutates from Savage Land. They're trying to get to Utopia. They think Magneto's back. He's in charge with Asteroid M. They're engaged by the New Mutants. And the interesting part of the story is really that Cyclops is really investing a lot in this team, while White Queen Emma Frost is not too happy. She thinks these kids should be dissolved into other X-Men teams, and they shouldn't work together. But this is a pretty good throwback, because Emma Frost was the leader of the Hellions, so they were the arch nemesis of the New Mutants. So this sort of Emma Frost not liking the New Mutants, that's a pretty cool throwback. But he's really testing the New Mutants and their skills and how to manage the situation. And basically, they do a really good job. And they de-escalate the situation. They get the mutates to go back to Savage Land. They explain the whole thing with Utopia, that Magneto's not in charge. It's a thing for all mutants. They have to go there and live in peace, not be at war with humans. So it's a pretty good tie-in, one-off story. And then we get the tie-in into the Siege of Asgard, which was awesome. At least for me, because as I said before, this leads to a lot of really good stories. So, back during the whole Dark Reign era of Marvel, when the Dark Avengers battle against the X-Men for Utopia, Dani Moonstar went to Hela and asked for her Valkyrie powers back. So for one day, she became this Asgardian lady warrior, was able to defeat Ares. Now, Hela wants to collect on her debt and asks Mirage, Dani Moonstone, to be Valkyrie again and go to Asgard to help accompany the souls of the dead. And to help, because this is a whole situation where when Asgard was on Earth, so Valhalla and Hell and all that, it's a really complicated situation. Basically, the souls have nowhere to go. They're sort of stuck on Earth. And so when she arrives, she sees all these souls and just tells them, hey, I'm going to help the Asgardians. You guys stay put. But Hela told her, like, don't focus on the living, focus on the dead. And she didn't understand why. Because the reason is there's these type of demon Valkyries called the Disir or Dysir. And they feed off souls. And if they feed off a soul stuck on Earth, that soul is lost forever. They can't get into the cycle of Ragnarok and stuff like that. So when Dany realizes this mistake, she helps Tyr defeat and scare away the Disir. She discovers the story behind them, that the Disir were actually Bor's Odin's fathers. Valkyrie, they committed a terrible crime. They seemingly have committed an act of cannibalism. They were damned and turned into demons to roam Earth and trying to find souls. So Dany's able to scare the Disir away, but the Disir are going to pop up in a pretty interesting story further down the line, as I mentioned. So Hela and Dany are even, and this series in general, like, I feel like Zeb Wells did a pretty good job. It's pretty worth reading. I spoiled the hell out of this, but if you haven't read it, this series in general, it's pretty awesome. So see you guys next time. Bye.